Okay, so if you found yourself feeling maybe a little overwhelmed by the sheer pace of AI advancements lately, you are definitely not alone.
Uh-huh.
The headlines we're diving into today, they're dated June 28, 2025. And honestly, they read less like daily news and, I don't know, more like chapters from some near future novel. But they're dated today.
It's incredible, isn't it? The speed.
It's dizzying.
Yeah.
And the impact feels so immediate, so personal.
Mhm.
So think of this deep dive as your guided tour through a really remarkable week. We'll look at the breakthroughs, sure, but also the setbacks, the warnings, the opportunities. It's all in the source material we're looking at.
And it's going to be quite a journey. We're going from, Google DeepMind Labs straight into courtrooms deciding copyright law,
Right.
then out onto factory floors where new bots are literally rolling out, and even into hospitals where AI is helping protect mothers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and you'll see why investors are sort of whispering about Amazon as this quiet AI giant, while Ford's CEO is practically shouting about needing skilled trades.
That contrast.
Exactly. And every single thing, every stop on this tour is pegged to the same date, June 28, 2025, because, well, the world just refuses to slow down.
So let's dive right in. Let's start with something that sounds like a genomic thunderclap. AI rewriting the genetic playbook. What's the core breakthrough here?
Okay, the big one is AlphaGenome. It's from Ziga Avsek and Natasha Latasheva. Basically, it's a neural network, an AI, that can parse a full million DNA-based pairs.
A million.
A million. And it scores the impact of even a single letter mutation in real time. Think of it like, I don't know, an instrument so sensitive it can feel one note shift inside a cosmic pipe organ. That's the kind of scale we're talking.
That's an incredible analogy. How does it actually do that? The scale and the precision.
Well, it's complex. It digests these huge biological data sets, encode GTEx, Phantom5, massive libraries of genetic info. And from that, it predicts things like how DNA gets spliced, promoter states, protein binding, even RNA yield. The key thing is it breaks this old trade-off. Before, you either saw a wide range or you saw fine detail.
Right, you couldn't do both.
Exactly. AlphaGenome does both. It can see an enhancer nearly a million bases away and still nail its influence.
That's genuinely astounding. And the benchmarks, topping rivals on almost every test.
Yeah.
But the bit that really jumped out at me was replicating that leukemia mechanism, the TAL one. Can you unpack the significance of that?
Absolutely. TAL, that's T-cell, acute lymphoblastic leukemia. It's a nasty blood cancer.
Right.
For AlphaGenome to flag this specific TAL1 activating mutation, basically, the genetic switch fueling the disease, and do it in a way that matches findings it took clinicians years to validate, that's monumental.
So it's not just about searching the genome faster.
It's way beyond faster. The genome becomes searchable infrastructure, yeah, but the speed means we could potentially spot disease risks decades earlier. Imagine shifting from reactive treatment to truly proactive health based on your specific genes.
That's a profound shift. Okay, moving from genetics, let's pivot to another huge health impact. Maternal health. What's happening there?
Right. So there's a team in China led by Dr. Wenzi Zhang. They've built a deep learning system. It fuses radiomics, getting data from medical images, with 2D and 3D convolutional nets.
Those are the image analysis AIs.
Exactly. And it combines that with regular clinical data. And get this, it predicts postpartum hemorrhage with 90% accuracy.
90%. That's incredible. What are they trained it on?
They used sagittal T2 placental scans from about 581 pregnancies, hit 92% sensitivity, 91% specificity, really strong numbers.
Okay, so what's the real world? So what? Why does predicting postpartum hemorrhage with that accuracy matter so much?
It matters hugely because postpartum hemorrhage is still a leading cause of maternal death worldwide, like 1 in 4 cases.
Wow.
So an early warning from this AI, it means hospitals can prep, get blood banks ready, have backup surgeons on call. It literally saves lives. Think of radiologists like weather forecasters reading radar.
Seeing the big pattern.
Right. But deep learning, it catches these subtle vascular cues, things the human eye might just miss. It really drives home that AI isn't just, fancy chatbots. It's keeping parents alive.
And speaking of very human stories this week, there's a really moving one about fertility.
Oh, yeah. This one's from Columbia University Fertility Center. They had a couple dealing with schizophrenia, basically. No sperm found in the sample for 18 years.
18 years.
Unbelievable. Lab techs spent like 48 hours manually scanning slides. Found nothing, just grueling work.
Yeah.
Then they used an AI-assisted microscope with a microfluidic chip. scanned the same sample. The AI captured millions of frames and flagged 44 viable sperm in under an hour.
Under an hour, after 18 years.
Enough for ICSI, that injection procedure. And 9 months later, a baby.
Oh my goodness. Just imagine that call. 1 hour of AI work changes everything.
It's transformative, isn't it? And the tech avoids toxic stains, invasive biopsies, plus the potential to scale this, helping with moderate infertility by ranking sperm health, maybe even looking at eggs and embryos down the line. It's huge.
1 clinic, 1 hour, a new family. That really shows why this tech news grabs people.
Yeah.
Okay, let's switch gears. From delicate biology to the robust world of robots, particularly one that's cutting the cord.
Right. Google DeepMind's Gemini Robotics on device. The key phrase is on device. Its whole brain, vision, language, action lives right on the robot.
Not in the cloud.
Exactly, not in the cloud. And that's a game changer. It slashes latency, the delay, boosts data privacy because the data stays local, and it works reliably on rough job sites, where Wi-Fi might be patchy or non-existent.
So it thinks locally, acts instantly. That's the idea.
That's the quote from the source, yeah. Thinks locally, acts instantly.
And what can it actually do, this local thinker?
It's surprisingly versatile. The demos show it handling zippers, folding laundry, pouring liquids, even doing quick doodles. What gets industrial buyers excited, though, is the efficiency. Fine-tuning, it takes just 50 to 100 demos.
Not weeks of data labeling.
Exactly. They hate those week-long data label frenzies. And for developers, flash the firmware, ship the update, easy. Network outages become irrelevant. Edge inference processing right there on the device that really rules for real-world robots.
Okay, and if you thought advanced robots were just for human-like tasks, warehouse logistics got a pretty beefy upgrade too, right? Less dexterity, more power.
Oh, yeah. ABB's Flexly Mover P603. Picture something the size of a coffee table that can haul 1,500 kilograms. That's over 3,300 pounds.
Wow. How does it navigate?
It uses visual SLAM, simultaneous localization, and mapping. Basically, it builds a map as it goes while figuring out where it is on that map.
Pull lever.
Plus, it has a good suspension for bumpy concrete floors, and it positions loads with 5mm accuracy, moving at 2 meters per second. Pretty quick.
That is a serious workhorse. Is it hard to set up? What does it mean for factory layouts?
It's surprisingly user-friendly. Managers use this thing called AMR Studio. It's drag and drop, like building a playlist. In the bigger picture, factories want flexibility now. Those old guided rails or QR code stickers on the floor, they look ancient. This thing just rolls in, maps the place, and gets to work. Adapts super fast.
But all this automation, these smart robots, what does it mean for the actual people on the ground? Ford's CEO had a pretty stark warning.
He did, yeah. Jim Farley, speaking at Aspen Ideas, his argument is that these productivity gains we're seeing, they're skewed towards white-collar roles.
Right.
Meanwhile, factory lines lag, and skilled trades electricians, welders, they're just drying up. His point, you can't just spin up these giant gigafactories without people who know how to wire them or weld things.
That makes sense. What were his numbers on robot use?
Pretty striking. He said robots fill maybe 10% now, 20% with humanoids. The rest, human improvisation.
Improvisation.
Yeah, he told this great story about a German worker who fixed a jammed tailgate on the assembly line using a bicycle tire. Just improvised on the fly.
You can't code that. And it raises that crucial question, right? No algorithm saw that coming. So what's Farley suggesting we do about this skills gap?
He's pushing for things like more focus on trade schools, boosting domestic manufacturing, even framing it as a national defense issue, for competitiveness.
So there's this real tension. AI races ahead, but we still need people to bolt things together, fix things.
Exactly. Technology adds jobs at the top, maybe shaves them in the middle. It feels like America needs a clearer blueprint for navigating this.
Okay, shifting again. Let's talk legal. AI meets the law. We saw some courtroom action this week.
We definitely did. Judge William Alsup, he handed down a ruling on Anthropic, the AI company. It was kind of a split decision.
Okay.
He ruled that training AI on millions of books, that generally counts as transformative fair use. He compared it to a novelist studying Dickens and then writing something totally new.
So the training itself is mostly okay.
Mostly. But, and this is a big, but he kept alive charges related to Anthropic downloading pirated texts from shadow libraries. His point was clear. Fair use doesn't excuse theft. That part goes to trial in December.
That's a really critical distinction. What are the ripple effects of this decision for the whole generative AI field?
Oh, it's huge. It basically sets the stage for the next decade. Permissionless learning, using public data, that seems largely okay.
Phew. for the AI labs.
Right. Investors can breathe a bit easier, but taking shortcuts with pirated data? Absolutely not. Data ops teams, they really need to scrub their pipelines now. The message is loud and clear. Clean data isn't optional, it's mandatory. Yeah, clean data is table stakes now.
Okay, and speaking of ethics, or maybe the darker side,
Hmm.
surveillance tech also made news. Something small.
Yeah, disturbingly small. China's state broadcaster, CCTV-7, showed footage of a mosquito drone.
Literally mosquito-sized.
Apparently, yes. Two versions shown twin wings, four wings. The stated goal is covert surveillance. Now, details like power, sensor payload, those are still mysteries.
A mosquito drone? Wow. If that tech becomes widespread, what does that do to privacy? The ethics seem incredibly complicated.
Immensely complicated. It signals a clear national intent to shrink drone tech down to insect scale. Imagine walking through a city and that buzz you hear. It might actually be a camera. The whole ethics conversation just got microscopic. It forces us to rethink public versus private space entirely.
Chilling thought. Okay, let's move to the business world. Amazon often makes headlines, but usually for retail. Now, investors are whispering about its AI power. What's the story there?
Jennifer Sable's analysis pointed out Amazon has quietly doubled in just 3 years. And it's not just retail driving it.
Right, it's more complex.
Way more. You've got the retail flywheel, sure, but then there's the AWS cash machine, Prime Video ads adding margin, One Medical, Project Kuiper for satellite internet, and underpinning a lot of this, a really deep AI toolkit inside AWS.
Jesse compared AI to electricity, right?
He did. And when AWS controls, 30% of the global cloud,
Yeah.
that comparison carries weight. Their margins just hit nearly 12% on record income.
So how does AI amplify all those different parts?
Basically, advertising and cloud profits buffer the thin retail margins. That gives Amazon huge amounts of cash to fund moonshots. AI isn't the only story at Amazon, but it's like this massive amplifier, making everything else more efficient, more powerful, enabling new services across the board.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, from the giants, let's zoom in on how AI is changing your daily interactions with companies. Salesforce had an update.
Yeah, Salesforce is embedding AI even deeper into customer service workflows with Agentforce 3. They've got this new command center, shows live performance data, lets you replay interactions, even backtest strategies.
So managers can see exactly what's working.
Exactly. And they introduced a model context protocol. Sounds techy, but it just means third-party AI tools can plug in easily. Plus, there are already over 100 specific automations available in their agent exchange. Companies pay per action, like 10 cents or a flat rate.
Sounds powerful for businesses. Are companies actually using it? What's the impact?
The impact is pretty staggering. Adoption jumped 233% in 6 months. And when you see chatbots resolving 70% of tickets, slashing call handle time by 15%, well, CFOs notice that.
Yeah, that hits the bottom line.
Absolutely. It means AI agents aren't just demos anymore. They're like on the org chart now. They're driving real value, changing how companies operate.
Okay, and for anyone out there feeling completely buried under information, which is probably most of us, there was an interesting evolution in how we can actually deal with it all. Perplexity.
Yeah. Perplexity. It started as more of a search engine, but now it's positioning itself as a research studio. Think of it like Google, but maybe more like your own personal super smart reading room.
Okay, what can this studio do?
Their new labs feature is pretty wild. You can give it plain language instructions, and it can spin up dashboards, presentation decks, even simple web apps.
Just from text instructions.
Yeah. Plus, there's voice mode for asking questions out loud, and File Upload Now lets you search inside your PDFs or meeting transcripts, add templates and topic pages, and it really speeds up common research tasks.
Sounds incredibly useful for cutting through the noise. What's the bigger picture with tools like this evolving?
Well, it's pretty accessible. Decent free tier, pro plan for heavy users, privacy seems considered too, you can purge logs. But the bigger picture, Perplexity now feels like, I don't know, Notion, ChatGPT, and Wolfram Alpha all mashed together. It really speaks to this broader trend this week. Using AI to turn data overload into actual clarity and insight.
Okay, fascinating. And finally, let's touch on maybe the most mind-bending development, AI learning to teach itself.
Right, MIT SEAL, that's self-adapting language models. What's groundbreaking here is that it closes the loop between reflection and retraining all by itself.
Closes the loop. Meaning?
Meaning the model literally writes its own training examples, grades how well it does on them, rewards itself for progress, and then integrates those updates into its own code. All without a human telling it what examples to create or how to learn from them.
So it's setting its own homework and grading it. That's, wow, how did it do?
On certain puzzle benchmarks, it jumped from 0 success to 72%. Reinforcement learning algorithms kind of steer the process. Now, there's still a risk of catastrophic forgetting, losing old knowledge.
Right, the classic AI problem.
Yeah. But still, the progress is undeniable. What's really fascinating is how SEAL pushes us towards systems that grow more like human apprentices, constantly learning and refining rather than just being static encyclopedias.
So you can imagine like a coding assistant that finds bugs in its own test process overnight.
Yeah.
Or a tutor AI that tweaks its lessons based on student confusion.
Exactly, those kinds of things. The core idea here, the big takeaway from SEAL, is that autonomous improvement, it's not science fiction anymore, it's becoming a design philosophy.
Okay, what an incredible range of developments just from one day's headlines. We've gone from DNA to robots to courtrooms. So pulling it all together, what are the main threads connecting all this?
I think the biggest thread, the repeating motif, is intelligence sliding outwards. It's moving away from just being in giant cloud data centers and embedding itself everywhere. In clinic microscopes, on factory carts, inside legal arguments, in your pocket search bar. AI News, June 28, 2025, isn't just a date. It feels like a marker of this steady acceleration where last month's amazing thing already feels a bit quaint.
It's relentless.
Totally. Think about the breadth. AlphaGenome cracking gene mechanics, deep learning MRIs protecting mothers, microfluidics and AI rescuing fertility hopes, Gemini robots cutting the cord, courts defining data ethics, Amazon quietly compounding value, Ford pleading for skilled workers.
Keep going. The list is long.
It is. ABB putting half a ton on a small robot. China building mosquito drones, Salesforce wiring AI into customer service, Perplexity turning search into knowledge creation, and MIT letting models rewrite their own code.
Wow.
Each one is like a tile being added to this giant mosaic, and that mosaic now covers biology, law, industry, finance, even just our everyday curiosity.
It really has been an extraordinary week, an incredible deep dive.
It really has. You know, AI News, June 28, 2025, it might genuinely read like the first few chapters of tomorrow's history books.
So a final thought for you, the listener, to maybe chew on this one. In a world where AI improving itself is becoming a design philosophy, how will you prepare for that?
Yeah, good question. Until our next deep dive, keep your antennas up, keep your data clean, and definitely keep your curiosity switched to maximum gain.